To Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking.
Hello everyone, good day according to your time. Welcome back to Learning is the Key. Hope you guys are doing well. Please, if you are seeing my channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and kindly hit on the notification button. Please do follow my page and like as well. Yes guys, it is really a pity to hear this kind of things, like with the video that I'm going to show you right now, where they will be telling you what is really happening in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country where a lot of things happen, but when it comes to politics, it becomes like really complicated, because this video says that they have already started attacking themselves, despite that the election is not yet. But the opponent, they have already started giving it to each other. So I want to give you this video so you will listen to it and share it to your people that are in Nigeria, so that we know that if by 2022, that they have already started fighting themselves, imagine 2023, what is going to be like. So guys, let me drop this video for you so you can really understand what I'm talking about. And my question is this: why are they fighting themselves? And now they have already started digging each other's secrets. You bring my own, I go bring your own. That's what is going on for some time now. So do take a look, guys. Bye. See you in my next updates. Ciao.
Points of the day. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, as you heard earlier, Nigeria's Electoral Commission, INEC, has warned that violence linked to next year's presidential vote is on the increase. It said 50 attacks had happened in the first month of campaigning. So the candidates and their supporters appearing to target each other in a tense and increasingly vicious campaign of abuse and intimidation. They're supposed to be making their pitches to the populace based on the issues, even as everyone remains keenly aware that the country is in crisis and the focus needs to be on those much-needed reforms. But it's also turning into something much more feisty, almost threatening. And amid all the partisanship on display, if you ask the challenging parties, they'll tell you that the enfant terrible appears to be the ruling APC. It's not clear how true or how problematic that is, but it's being denied by the APC. So are they all going over that very fragile line that they promised not to cross when they signed a peace accord ahead of the campaigning in September? Might this turn out to be a significant turning point for the worse in this election campaign? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by a spokesperson for the Obi Datti campaign organization, Nana Sani Kazaure. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles, for having me.
And with the increasing viciousness that we're seeing in this campaign, one international observer suggested that instead of being in a bath of slowly warming water, it's becoming like being trapped in a cage with a wild tiger, which right now happens to be sleeping, and all the political parties, by attacking each other, are working out how they're going to kick that tiger. And if that wakes up and violence is unleashed, there's very little anyone can do about it. Is that a fair assessment of the way things are, or the way things are beginning to look?
I would say it's a fair assessment, because the Labour Party and those of us that are part of the Obi Datti movement have always talked about violence in the election, because when you look at it, we have been attacked. Recently, our flag boy was attacked. Somebody else was attacked. I think it was in Borno State. I forget where now, but we have been at the receiving end, and that has really, given us cause for a lot of pause and concern. But then we keep pressing forward because it's campaign season.
Has that demoralized you?
Oh no, it hasn't. It hasn't. I doubt that there's anything right now that would demoralize the Obi Datti movement. In fact, if anything else, we want to push back and say, you know what, Nigeria has been top heavy in terms of those that are the leadership have this way of intimidating those of us that are being led. And this time I think we're saying, no, we're going to change that narrative. We also want to lead. Not that we want to take charge, but then we want to be in charge of who leads us. We want to be in charge of where we're going and how we're going and how we're going to get there. But we will not be intimidated to get there. We will not allow it.
Well, let's turn to that increasing sniping, which potentially could be intimidating. The APC vice presidential candidate, Kashim Shettima, I was just discussing it with the two gentlemen who were here before you, calling Mr. Peter Obi Gringery, who was a comedic character on a TV series. In effect, he called him a joker. And he also accused Mr. Obi of putting out dubious statistics. What's your reaction to that, and what amounts to this attempt to ridicule Mr. Obi?
Thank you very much for that question. And I'm really reining in my emotions right now because I didn't like it when I watched it. I found it very, for a man in his position, for a man running for the office that he is alongside Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he shouldn't do that. He owes Peter Obi an apology, an unreserved apology. What Peter Obi is running for is not a joke. Nigerians are not a joke. The movement is not a joke. What we're looking for, what we're asking for in the coming elections of 2023 in February is not a joke. So you cannot say that a man in your capacity, I expect better behavior, I expect you to speak with a lot of restraint. I understand that he also said that they are friends, but you see, when you're being friendly with your friend, that's okay. But he wasn't sitting there, and so he couldn't respond. That wasn't friendly banter. That was insulting, and he should apologize to his friend.
Yeah, but as I mentioned to the two gentlemen who were here before, I mean, he was calling him a comedian in the context of what he said about what he alleged about Mr. Obi spewing dubious statistics. In other words, he said, well, he puts out a lot of dubious statistics, and he's a joker, basically. He has been said to do that, and on this Arise, I also did mention that where it is that you get your information from, it varies. It doesn't make it a lie. It doesn't make it dubious. You could go onto Google right now, and I would go and I would type in the same thing, and we would get totally different results. Doesn't make it a lie. And so I actually resent that he would say, my principal reels out dubious statistics. You reel out yours. Can we just focus on the issues? Let's keep the campaigns issue-based. You don't have to take the mickey out of somebody else to prop yourself up or to give yourself some accolades. I think that's beneath anybody right now. And of course, one way that we, the media, and of course the electorate, the voting public, can accurately assess what Mr. Obi has to offer is when we see his manifesto. When is that likely to emerge, and why is it taking so long to be released?
It's not a competition.
I'm
coming, let me finish. It's not a competition who releases his manifesto first. Nigeria is so peculiar. Our diversity is so important to my principle that we want to make sure that we're crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. And so even as we speak, there are technocrats that are looking into the document. There are people saying, no, we would like to do, it's going to be, okay, let me just let you know, it's going to be a transactional contract between my principal Peter Obi and the Nigerian people. We're even pushing for the electorate to sign. So that it's a document that
so
they
it's a concordat.
Exactly, so that
it's a concordat.
Exactly. So
right.
that it's a document that the Nigerian people themselves are part of. So it's not something that we're just going to come out and reel it out and drop it. No. Peter Obi is being very, very circumspect. He's being very, very careful not to let Nigerians down when he comes into power.
Because we're going to hold him to
exactly,
that,
he's always said it, that we should hold him accountable. those of us in his inner circle, those of us who get to work with him closely, are the first people who always hold him accountable. And he is very aware of the way Nigerians are going, especially the youth. They are a question-asking youth, and they want to know, they are curious, they're keeping themselves informed. During the ASU strike, I met some students who were out of school, engineering students, political science students, and what impressed me with them was that they were studying the Constitution while the universities were on strike. That's how far Nigerians are going to be educated.
But it's interesting, though, that beyond the fact that the document that would tell us exactly what he's planning to do for the Nigerians hasn't come out yet, the manifesto, the Labour Party has also come out to say no more town hall events or debates for Peter Obi if the other presidential candidates are absent from such events. I mean, you would have thought that he'd seize every opportunity to put his best foot forward, given this relationship you're saying he wants to cultivate with the Nigerian people, and potentially increase his reach and communicate his message to many more people. Isn't it a bit counterproductive to say, I won't attend if Atiku or Tinubu or Kwankwaso are not there? I mean, it sounds almost childish.
No, it's not. Since he started, that's all he's done. Talk and speak and engage. At no point in time did we say he would stop speaking and engaging with the Nigerian people. What we're saying is that if there's a town hall meeting, people in the same capacity, let it be equal. If you're a presidential candidate, then he will debate with the presidential candidate and not somebody else.
Yeah, but would he attend if one of
what
them
we're
was
focusing
there?
on now, like you said,
Right.
is to make sure we remain connected with the grassroots. So at no point in time is he going to stop talking. At no point in time is he not going to appear. At no point in time is he not going to connect with his people. It's just that we're going to now focus more on our grassroots
Right,
and our support.
but would he attend if one of the presidential candidates is there, or is he insisting that it'll have to be all of them in attendance?
If one presidential candidate is there and nobody is sending a proxy, of course he'll be there.
Right, okay.
Peter
So
Obi
the
he's
issues about
everywhere.
proxies.
Yes, the issues about proxies, Nigerians have made
It's
it
about, you're
very
not
clear.
equal to me, so I won't sit with you. Is that what it's
And that's
about?
fine. It's okay. I think it's high time we began to put our foot down for our Peter Obi. He's such he's such an agreeable fellow that people think, you know, he's simple. He's no simpleton. And I think it's time. This is our decision. So he's listening
So
to
you want him
us.
to look more presidential, is that right?
He already looks presidential. He's already the man to beat.
Right. Well, you've let's move away from all that. You've resumed campaigning
Yes, we
after
have.
Mr. Obi suspended it in solidarity with the victims of the floods. Your team has since held a number of rallies. They looked like they were successful, although there's been talk of violence and attacks on your supporters in some places. How do you assess your campaign and your rallies so far?
Let's even just talk about what's happening today in Edo State, from Uromi to Auchi to Benin. It's been overwhelming, and the welcome. The people came out en masse. I even got emotional watching the videos because I couldn't be in Edo for today. And you can see from the streets, women decided they were not going to sell anything in the market. So the people you see selling anything are selling the essentials, water, drinks, small chops, so that people can, keep feeding. But the markets were empty because they came out in solidarity for my principal, for Peter Obi.
But Nasarawa State is reported to have been particularly challenging for
it
your
was.
campaign. I mean, there were allegations that you were refused permission to hold your rally at several venues before you finally managed to get a football field. And then with a day or
They
so to
announced
go, the state
that there was
government
an
decided to invoke
Environmental.
a clause that hasn't been used in
In
nearly
8
8 years to declare a curfew to mark environmental cleanup on the day of your rally. Are those reports all true?
Yes, they are. And those are the things I said at the very beginning has always given us cause for pause and concern that people, some political players think that we're such a threat that they have to impede or encroach on what is our fundamental human right, and that's quite tragic. But then we keep trudging on, we keep pressing on, because the people are behind us, the people are with us.
Right, but given all that, are you worried that there could be official levels of complicity by opposing state governments, for example, and even security agents to try to undermine you and your campaign as we get closer to the ballot? I mean, it's not just you. We've also heard complaints from other parties.
It's a clear and present danger in Nigeria. We're a very young democracy. We just got out of how many decades of military rule. So I think we're at a point where we don't really understand what the rights of the Nigerian people are, and even the Nigerian people don't even understand what their rights are, and so there seems to be a conflict of interest. So sometimes you find that those who are in authority, who are supposed to protect, tend to be the ones who do the attacking. So a lot of education has to come in. That's where we call on INEC. INEC has to ensure that she is, as her name implies, independent. And that's the only thing we're asking, because in a free and fair election, Nigeria of today, Peter Obi is the winner.
Well, that's what you would say, but the other parties would say that their candidate would also be a winner. Well, what about all the rumors of possible alliances, the formation of coalitions with other parties, and even talk that you're still negotiating with Rabiu Kwankwaso and his NNPP party about forming some sort of alliance? I mean, what can you tell us about that?
Democracy is a game of numbers. The more, the merrier. The more, the stronger. And so yes, it's important for us to have alliances. For example, I did say it a few days ago that during the town hall meeting, there was a question that was posed, and His Excellency Peter Obi did say it, that he wasn't going, irrespective of what your partisan positioning is, he's not going to say you're not welcome. His door is going to be open. So for example, a man like Kola Abiola, I believe very, very strongly that he's an asset to anybody who would want to administer Nigeria after the coming elections. So yes, it's not rumors, it's the truth. We do need alliances so that we can press on and we can move forward. Nigeria won't do well if we do not form proper alliances for our greater good.
So are you talking to Kola Abiola then about a possible alliance?
I'm not aware. I just said so because I was at the town hall meeting, and I did key in to some of the things that he said, as well as His Excellency Rabiu Kwankwaso. He's an exceptionally bright, and it would be good to have those kind of people on board. I think they are genuinely good men. I think they genuinely have Nigeria and Nigerians at heart. They are part of a new order for Nigeria, but Peter Obi being the leader, the rest follow.
I like that, because I was going to ask you what would be the terms of that alliance. I mean, it would have to be, your principle would have to be top of the pecking order.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone else would have to sort of find their way, you know.
And that's where dialogue comes in.
Right. Yeah. But they've tried that dialogue. I mean, Kwankwaso was adamant that he wasn't going to give up anything.
There's no rule in the book that doesn't say keep trying. Breaking news on Arise today was Atiku says he's still willing to talk with Wike, with His Excellency Governor Wike of Rivers State. So, but we continue. We don't stop.
But it would dramatically improve your chances if you were to go into some kind of alliance with Rabiu Kwankwaso, wouldn't it? I mean, the latest assessments have given him at least 40% of the vote in the Kano area, which has one of the biggest votes, really, of any single area in the country.
And he's welcome to come and join us. That's all I'll say about that.
Right, but no concrete sort of ideas.
Not that I'm at liberty to share
disclose
right now. I cannot disclose that right now.
Right. And you mentioned the People's Democratic Party, the breaking news and so on. I wonder how you react to those peace moves that you talked about just now that appear to be gathering pace in the PDP? I mean, Atiku Abubakar and Nyesom Wike, the Nyesom Wike group, because he's got, quite a formidable bunch of people around him, governors who we all know are very powerful. We've been hearing noises that seem to suggest, as you pointed out, that reconciliation may occur soon, because of course the PDP is your biggest competitor in the southeast and the south-south. And if the PDP factions are able to reconcile, then they clearly will become a much more formidable challenge for you in that region, won't they?
And they are not a challenge that we cannot overcome. They're not a hurdle that we can't pass.
Yeah, but they're going to split the votes. I mean, they have been the traditional, and let's be factual about that, they've been the traditional winners of the majority of votes over the years in that part of Nigeria.
At that point in time, we didn't have the number of registered voters that we have now. We didn't have the number of interested people that we have now. So the game has changed, and it's only the elections that will tell.
Yeah, but
the results of the elections, rather.
Yeah, but might you not be taking that part of the country for granted? Because I mean, the reason I say that is that one of the big problems you have is that you don't actually have any governors or anything that you can go to. I mean, that's why alliances are so important for you. You don't have any governors that come from your party that are running states or anything like that. So you don't have the traditional structure that's been there that would,
So your point is?
Well, the point I'm making is that you don't have a traditional structure. I mean, that's the point.
And like we've always said, and we're still saying, the people are the structure. And when His Excellency Peter Obi takes over the reins,
those people are in other parties as well.
What I'll say is this: you can't fire somebody who's doing well. It will be foolhardy. So when he is doing well, he's working well, he has a cabinet put in place, why would you want to fire him? Or why would you want to give him any trouble?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying there.
What I'm saying is, you've been telling me, we don't have a structure, we don't have governors, we don't have people in the House of Representatives.
Not in a way of trying to antagonize you, but in a way of trying to understand how you're going to overcome those things.
Overcome what things?
Well, overcome the fact that you don't have a governor who you could use the structures of the state, which a lot of the other people have that capacity to do, to try and shore up your defenses in those places. I mean, you're essentially out on a slippery slope.
But I mean, you see, His Excellency Peter Obi has done that before. If you recall, he was a Lone Ranger with APGA. He's done it before, and like I said, these aren't hurdles that we won't be able to cross.
Beyond all that, the key thing is, of course, winning. And that's the point you're essentially making, that the final analysis is, well, let's get to the ballot box, which we're all aiming to get to. But at this stage, how do you rate your chances? Not in terms of social media and perhaps urban popularity, which Mr. Obi seems to have considerable amounts of, but in terms of that all-important geographic spread across the country. Can you confidently say that you have enough voter support to achieve that crucial 25% in 2/3 of all the states and the FCT plus the majority of votes?
We are a work in progress. It would be foolhardy for anybody to think that where we are at now, we haven't made any progress. For example, and I'll bring it to my nuclear family, for example, I have people who are from other parties, and I've begun to see them leaning more toward His Excellency Peter Obi. I'll even be very, very specific. Very recently, I had an uncle of mine come visit, and when I went to see him, he said, "Oh, we've started to see, you know, like in the interior parts of Jigawa State, where I'm from, which is also the Northwest, we've begun to feel, finally, you guys are warming up and you're coming in. There's work to be done. We're not oblivious of that fact. There's still work to be done, and we're doing it. So yes, to answer your question, we're moving in, and we're moving in fast.
But what about those places that are perhaps have issues of maybe insecurity and all the rest of them that you can't reach because you're coming in as a new kid on the block, and you can't actually gain entry into some of those places, and all those people know in those parts of Nigeria are the traditional parties that they have, the APC and the PDP.
I spoke very recently while we were in Benue State. I spoke very recently, and I don't want to mention with whom, but then again, there was something I took away. He said when Peter Obi mentioned that he would be willing to sit down with agitators, with people who aren't happy, who aren't pleased with the system, that in itself has warmed the hearts of some of these people, and so they're willing to engage, they're willing to give it a chance. Because, you know, poverty doesn't know your name, doesn't know your tribe. The hunger that the country is going through, the instability, the economic grinding halt, and like you said, the insecurities, it's blind to tribe or creed or religion. And what people want is a way forward, and that new kid on the block seems to be some kind of breath of fresh air. And that's what people are leaning toward, even where I come from. And to me, that's a huge deal.
But do you see the North as your biggest challenge at the moment?
Nigeria as a whole.
Yeah, but I know, but let's be practical about it. I mean, you've got a better chance in the South than you have in the North, is that right?
No, that would be presumptuous for anyone to think that the North isn't listening, or the North isn't. It's still the same answer that I gave you before that I'm going to give you now. The people are hungry. The people are tired. The people want.
So it doesn't matter which part.
Exactly. They just want something new. They want to go back to their farms. Yeah, they want to be secure enough to be able to know where the next meal is coming from. They don't want to live as IDPs. They want their children to go back to school. They want their wives to be safe, and so it has nothing to do. They just want that new kid on the block. You say his name is Peter Obi. What does he have to offer? And we say to you, the vast farmlands, the vast arable lands in the north will be restored and will become the oil of Nigeria. So that wealth is coming to you. Your children who aren't in school right now, who maybe have fallen into deviant ways, can now be, employed productively and can actually bring home the bacon. We want a whole, and that is music to the ears of those women who are widows, to the ears of those sisters, those people who have lost their family members. What Peter Obi brings for them, and the message that we take to the grassroots, is the hope that all of this can change. We've done it we've had 16 years, in fact, let's see, 23 years cumulatively of these two people. What is your story? When they tell you their story, then you say to them, this is another opportunity. Would you take it? And the answer is almost always yes.
Okay, on that note, Nana Sani Kazaure, I want to thank you exceedingly because I know you came in and you came in at fairly short notice.
Very short notice.
But you came, and I think much. You've defended your party very well indeed. Nana Sani Kazaure is a spokesperson for the Obi Datti campaign organization. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.